Captain Daniel Hayes stood at the viewing port and watched the massive station grow larger. Harmony Prime was unlike anything he had ever seen. The structure stretched for miles in every direction, with towers that spiraled upward like crystalline trees. Lights flickered across its surface in patterns that seemed almost alive. Ships of every shape and size drifted around it like insects around a flower. "Beautiful, isn't it?" Commander Lisa Martinez stepped beside him. Her reflection in the glass showed her calm expression, but Daniel knew she was as nervous as he was. "Beautiful and terrifying," Daniel admitted. "We're about to meet representatives from 200 different species. Any one of them could decide they don't like us." Lisa smiled slightly. "Then we better make a good impression." The human ship named Endeavor moved slowly through the traffic lanes. Other vessels gave them space, though whether from courtesy or caution, Daniel couldn't tell. The galaxy had been watching Earth for decades, studying humanity from a distance. When the invitation finally came to join the Galactic Council, it had surprised everyone. Humans had barely reached their own moon when the first observation satellites appeared in orbit. Now, 30 years later, humanity was ready to take its place among the stars. The docking procedure took an hour. Daniel used the time to review his notes one more time. Ambassador had sent detailed instructions about proper behavior. Don't make sudden movements. Keep your voice low and calm. Avoid showing teeth when smiling. The list went on and on. "They really think we're going to mess this up," Lisa muttered, reading over his shoulder. "Can you blame them?" Daniel asked. "They've been watching us. They've seen our wars, our violence, our history. They probably think we're going to start a fight the moment we walk in." "Are we that bad?" Daniel thought about it. Compared to them, maybe, but we're trying to be better. The airlock opened with a soft hiss. The air that flowed in was thin and smelled faintly of flowers. Daniel took a deep breath and immediately felt lightheaded. The station's atmosphere was designed for species that didn't need as much oxygen. He and Lisa had been prepared for this, but it still felt strange. 6 security officers followed them out. All humans, all trained for this moment. They wore formal uniforms rather than armor, but Daniel knew they carried weapons hidden beneath the fabric. The Council prohibited weapons in the station, but humanity had negotiated an exception for their security detail. It had taken 3 months of careful discussion. A delegation waited for them in the docking bay. Daniel recognized Ambassador from the video calls. He was tall and thin, with skin that looked like polished silver. 4 arms hung at its sides, each ending in delicate 3-fingered hands. Its eyes were large and dark, taking up nearly half of its face. "Captain Hayes," said, its voice soft and musical. "Welcome to Harmony Prime. We are honored by your presence." Daniel bowed slightly, exactly as the instructions had. "The honor is ours, Ambassador. Humanity is grateful for this opportunity." His eyes flickered across the human group. Daniel saw the moment of hesitation, the slight backward step. "They're afraid," he realized. They was trying to hide it, but the fear was there. "Please follow me," said. "The Council is eager to meet you." They walked through corridors that seemed impossibly large. The ceilings stretched 30 feet above them, and the hallways were wide enough for 10 people to walk side by side. Everything was built on a scale meant to accommodate the galaxy's largest species. "The gravity feels light," Lisa whispered. She was right. Each step carried them slightly farther than it should. Daniel had to consciously shorten his stride to avoid bouncing. The station's gravity was set to standard galactic level, which was roughly a third of Earth's. For humans, it felt like walking on the moon. Other aliens filled the corridors. They came in every shape imaginable. Some walked on 4 legs, others on 6. Some floated in the air using methods Daniel couldn't understand. A few were so large they had to duck through doorways, while others were so small they rode on mechanical platforms. All of them stopped to stare at the humans. "They're curious about us," Daniel said quietly. "Or afraid," Lisa replied. The council chamber was even more impressive than the corridors. It was a vast circular room with a domed ceiling that displayed the stars outside. Hundreds of seats rose in tiers around a central platform. Most of them were already occupied. High Chancellor L waited on the platform. The Chancellor was a species that looked vaguely reptilian, but with features that were almost bird-like. Golden scales covered its body, and a crest of feathers ran along its head and down its back. "Humans of Earth," L's voice echoed through the chamber. You stand before the Galactic Council, representatives of 200 civilizations spanning this arm of the galaxy. We have observed your species for many years. We have watched you grow, learn, and reach for the stars. Today, we welcome you as candidates for membership in our community. Daniel stepped forward. He had practiced this speech 100 times. High Chancellor, honored members of the Council, humanity accepts this welcome with humility and hope. We know we are young compared to most species here. We know we have much to learn. But we also bring gifts to share. Our curiosity, our determination, our desire to explore and understand. We ask only for the chance to prove ourselves worthy of this great honor. The chamber was silent. Daniel could feel hundreds of eyes watching him. Then, slowly, a sound like rainfall began. It took him a moment to realize it was applause, though it sounded nothing like human clapping. Elle stepped forward and placed one clawed hand on Daniel's shoulder. The Chancellor's grip was light, almost hesitant. Then let us begin the integration process. For the next 10 days, you and your delegation will learn our laws, our customs, our history. At the end, if all goes well, humanity will be invited to join the Council. We won't disappoint you, Daniel promised. I hope not, Elle said quietly, for all our sakes. The ceremony continued for another hour. Various council members gave speeches about peace, cooperation, and unity. Daniel listened carefully, making mental notes. Everything seemed focused on avoiding conflict, on finding peaceful solutions to every problem. It made sense. The galaxy had been at peace for 3,000 years. War was something ancient, a relic of primitive times. The species that had evolved past such violence now worked together in harmony. Daniel wondered how humanity would fit into such a world. Humans had never known 3,000 years of peace. They had barely managed 3 decades without a major war. As the ceremony ended, alarms suddenly blared throughout the station. Red lights flashed across the walls. The council members rose from their seats in confusion and fear. Elle pressed a hand to his communication device. His face went pale beneath his scales. Unknown vessel approaching at high speed. It's not responding to our hailing attempts. Daniel felt his muscles tense. Old instincts kicked in, the ones from his military days. Beside him, Lisa straightened, her hand moving unconsciously toward where her weapon would be. The 6 security officers shifted position without being ordered, forming a protective circle around Daniel and Lisa. Notice the change. The ambassador's forearms trembled slightly. What are you doing? Preparing, Daniel said simply. Preparing for what? Daniel looked at the alien's frightened face and realized that genuinely didn't understand. In 3,000 years of peace, they had never needed to prepare for danger. Whatever comes next, Daniel said. Although a dark shape appeared against the stars, it was moving fast, too fast for a peaceful approach, and behind it Daniel could see other shapes, smaller, faster, weapons hot. The galaxy had been at peace for 3,000 years. Daniel had a feeling that peace was about to end. The alert turned out to be a false alarm. The approaching vessel was just a merchant ship with a damaged transponder. Daniel felt the tension drain from his body, but he noticed how the other humans remained alert for several minutes afterward. Old habits died hard. The incident set the tone for the next 3 days. Humans and aliens tried to understand each other, but every interaction revealed new differences. Dr. Cross discovered this during his first visit to the station's medical facility. The human doctor had offered to share Earth's medical knowledge with his galactic counterparts. Physician N, a like ambassador, had eagerly accepted. This is fascinating, N said, examining the human medical files on his display. Then he stopped. His forearms went still. This can't be correct. What's wrong? Asked. Your gravity reading. It says Earth has gravity 3 times standard level. N's large eyes grew even wider. That would make it a Class 9. Only the most extreme predators evolve on such planets. Shifted uncomfortably. Is that a problem? You live on a... N's voice rose. How is that possible? You have cities, technology, art. Species don't develop civilization. They're too busy surviving. We managed, said quietly. N scrolled through more files. His hands began to shake. Your atmosphere composition, 21% oxygen, that's poison to most species, and your temperature ranges, your pressure variations, your disease catalog. He looked up at with something like horror. How are you alive? Didn't know how to answer that. We adapt, I suppose. Adapt? En laughed, but it sounded wrong. Your medical records show broken bones that healed on their own, injuries that would kill any of us, and you treat them with basic first aid. You have scars, Dr. Cross, physical scars on your body. When did you last die? Die blinked. I've never died. Never, En backed away. But you're over 40 standard years old. Most species die at least once or twice by that age, usually from accidents or illness. We have revival technology for that. Humans don't die easily, said, and when we do, we usually stay dead. En's hands wouldn't stop shaking. What kind of monsters evolve on a planet like yours? Meanwhile, Security Chief Victoria Grant was having her own difficult conversation. She had volunteered to train with the station's security forces, thinking it would build trust. Instead, it had built fear. The training exercise was simple: navigate an obstacle course while carrying a wounded person to safety. Victoria had done it 100 times on Earth. She picked up the practice dummy, which weighed about the same as a full-grown human, and started running. The alien security officers watched in silence. When Victoria finished the course, she turned to find them all staring at her. What? She asked. The training instructor, a four-legged creature called approached slowly. That weight you carried, it requires 3 of us to move it. It wasn't that heavy, Victoria said. And your speed. You ran at nearly 40 miles per hour while carrying that load. Victoria frowned. That's actually pretty slow for me. The low gravity here throws off my balance. Slow, the instructor's voice cracked. That's faster than most species can run without carrying anything. Oh, Victoria looked around at the frightened faces. I didn't mean to scare anyone. What you just did would require an entire team of our security officers, the instructor said. And you did it alone, barely breathing hard. How strong are humans? Victoria thought about how to explain it. Earth has high gravity. We evolved to work against it. Our muscles, our bones, everything about us is built for strength. Are all humans like you? I'm actually on the smaller side, Victoria admitted. The instructor walked away without another word. The other security officers followed, whispering among themselves. Daniel heard about both incidents by evening. He found Lisa in their quarters, reviewing reports on her. It's not going well, she said without looking up. Terrified the medical staff, Victoria made the security team resign, and the council members have been avoiding us all day. They're afraid of us, Daniel said. Can you blame them? Lisa set down her. We're from a Daniel. We're stronger, faster, tougher than anything they've ever encountered. To them, we probably look like walking nightmares. We're not monsters. Try telling them that. Lisa stood and walked to the window. Outside, the station's lights glowed against the darkness of space. I was in the common area earlier. A group of civilians saw me coming and literally ran away. Parents grabbed their children and hid. Daniel joined her at the window. What do we do? I don't know. How do you prove you're not dangerous when everything about you screams predator? The next morning, Daniel requested a meeting with High Chancellor L. The Chancellor agreed, though he insisted on meeting in a public space with guards present. They met in one of the station's gardens. Plants from 100 worlds grew in carefully maintained sections. The air smelled sweet, and artificial sunlight warmed the paths. El waited near a fountain. 6 armed guards stood nearby, hands on their weapons. Chancellor, Daniel said, stopping a respectful distance away. We need to talk. About what, Captain Hayes? El's voice was carefully neutral. About fear. Your people are afraid of us. Can you blame them? El gestured toward Daniel. You stand there and even trying to appear harmless, you radiate danger. Your species evolved to hunt and kill. We evolved past such things 3,000 years ago. You evolved past it, Daniel asked, or you removed it. El's crest flattened against his head. What do you mean? I've been reading your history. Your species, most of the council members, you all modified yourselves genetically. You removed the genes for aggression, for violence, for the predatory instincts. We became civilized, El said stiffly. You became prey, Daniel replied. Without the ability to fight, how do you defend yourselves? We don't need to defend ourselves, we have peace. For now, Daniel stepped closer. The guards tensed, but he ignored them. But what happens when someone comes who doesn't want peace? What happens when raiders attack or conquerors arrive? What do you do? El's golden scales seemed to pale. We negotiate, we find peaceful solutions. And if they don't want to negotiate? The Chancellor had no answer. We're not monsters, Daniel said quietly. But we are predators. Earth made us that way. We evolved to fight, to protect, to survive against impossible odds. Yes, that makes us dangerous, but it also makes us defenders. Defenders? Elle's voice was uncertain. Every human instinct that frightens you exists for a reason. We're strong because we had to protect ourselves. We're fast because we had to catch food or run from danger. We're tough because anything less meant death. We evolved to survive, Chancellor. But we also evolved to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. Elle studied Daniel's face. You're asking us to trust you. I'm asking you to give us a chance. Yes, we're built for violence, but we're also capable of choosing peace. We came here as diplomats, not conquerors. And if war comes? Daniel met the Chancellor's eyes. Then you'll see what we're really capable of, but we'll be fighting for you, not against you. The Chancellor was quiet for a long moment. Finally, he nodded slowly. I will take your words to the Council, but I make no promises. That's all I ask. As Daniel walked away, Lisa fell into step beside him. Do you think he believed you? I don't know, but at least he listened. Back in the council chamber, alarms began to sound again. This time, they didn't stop. On every screen throughout the station, the same image appeared. A large ship drifting through space, its hull covered in burn marks. Behind it, 3 smaller vessels closed in, weapons glowing hot. The refugee ship Sanctuary was dying. Daniel could see it on the main in the command center. Hull breaches vented atmosphere into space. One of its engines was completely dark. The 3 raider ships circled it like sharks, firing precision shots that disabled without destroying. They're playing with them, Lisa said quietly. She was right. The raiders weren't trying to kill. They were prolonging the hunt, enjoying the fear. Daniel had seen this before in his military days. Pirates and slavers operated the same way across the galaxy, it seemed. How many on board the Sanctuary? He asked. A council technician checked his console. 347, mostly families. They were fleeing the border conflicts near the outer reaches. And our defensive capabilities. The technician's face went pale. We have none. Harmony Prime is a diplomatic station. We rely on peace treaties for protection. Daniel stared at him. You have no weapons, no shields, no defense fleet. Why would we need such things? They signed the peace accords 50 years ago. They're not supposed to attack council territory. Well, someone forgot to tell them that. Daniel turned to Lisa. Get our people ready. I want Victoria and her security team armed and in position to protect critical systems. Needs to prepare the medical bay for casualties. We're going to bring those refugees in. We don't have authority to, the technician started. I don't care about authority, Daniel cut him off. There are children on that ship. High Chancellor Elle arrived, breathing hard from running. Captain Hayes, what are you doing? Preparing to rescue those refugees. You can't, this is a council matter. We must follow proper procedures. Contact the government, file formal complaints. By the time you finish filing paperwork, everyone on that ship will be dead or enslaved. Daniel pulled up a tactical display. The Endeavor isn't much of a warship, but she's got decent shields and some basic weapons. We can drive off 3 raiders. You'll start a war. They already started it when they attacked refugees in council space. Daniel looked at the Chancellor. Are you going to help those people or not? Elle's crest flattened completely. We don't know how. We haven't fought a war in 3,000 years. Then stay out of our way. Daniel activated his communicator. All human personnel, this is Captain Hayes. We have a rescue operation. Lieutenant Turner, prep the Endeavor for combat. Victoria, secure the station. Prepare to receive wounded. Everyone else, stand by for orders. Across the station, humans moved into action. It happened in seconds, that transformation from diplomats to soldiers. The change was so fast, so complete, that the watching aliens could only stare. Lieutenant Jacob Turner reached the Endeavor first. The young pilot had been itching for action since they arrived. He ran through the pre-flight checks in half the normal time, his hands moving across the controls with practiced ease. Endeavor ready for launch, he reported. Launch when ready, Daniel ordered. Keep them off the Sanctuary until we can get them to dock with the station. Copy that. The Endeavor shot out of the docking bay like a missile. Turner pushed the engines hard, acceleration that would have knocked out any of the station's normal crew. He barely noticed the pressure. The raiders saw him coming. One of them broke off from the sanctuary and moved to intercept. Its weapons fired bright pulses of energy that should have crippled the small human ship. The shots hit the Endeavor's shields and scattered. Turner didn't even slow down. "That's interesting," he muttered. "Their weapons are weaker than I expected." He returned fire. The Endeavor's weapons were designed for asteroid clearing and space debris, not combat, but at close range they worked just fine. The raiders' shields flashed and failed. The hull cracked open. Air and debris vented into space. Turner's voice came across the command center speakers, calm and professional. "One hostile down, engaging second target." In the command center, every alien was frozen. They watched in horror and awe as the human pilot danced between enemy fire, his ship moving in ways that should have been impossible. "How is he doing that?" the technician whispered. "The acceleration should kill him." Lisa said simply, "We evolved in 3 times this gravity. We can handle acceleration that would turn your people into paste." The second raider tried to run. Turner didn't let it. The Endeavor chased it down, matching every maneuver, staying on its tail like a hunting dog. When Turner fired again, the raider's engines exploded. The third raider ship had stopped attacking the sanctuary. Its commander, War Commander, stared at his screens in disbelief. "What are they?" he demanded. His tactical officer's voice shook. "The database says they're from Earth, Class 9. The species is designated as extreme risk." One ship growled. "How much risk can one ship be?" He got his answer when the Endeavor came straight at him. Turner wasn't being cautious anymore. He'd seen the scared faces on the sanctuary through his targeting system, seen children pressed against the viewing ports. It made him angry. The ship was bigger, better armed with heavier shields. It should have been an easy victory, but Turner fought with a fury that had never encountered. The human ship took hits that should have destroyed it and kept coming. It fired back with weapons that shouldn't have been able to penetrate military-grade shields, but somehow did. "His shields are failing," the tactical officer reported, "but he's not retreating." "Neither are we," ordered. "All weapons fire." The barrage should have vaporized the Endeavor. Instead, Turner rolled his ship at the last second, presenting the least damaged section of hull to the incoming fire. The shots hit, burned through the outer armor, damaged systems. Alarms screamed in Turner's cockpit. He ignored them and fired back. His shot hit the ship's command module. The explosion tore through 3 decks. "Retreat!" screamed. "Retreat now!" The raider turned and fled. Turner started to pursue, then stopped. The sanctuary needed help more than he needed revenge. "Raider ships are retreating," he reported. "Sanctuary, this is Lieutenant Turner. You're clear to dock with Harmony Prime." The refugee ship limped toward the station. Daniel coordinated the docking, talking the frightened captain through each step. When the airlock finally sealed, 347 refugees stumbled into the station. Was waiting with his medical team. The refugees were hurt, terrified, many of them injured from the attack. The alien doctors stood back, overwhelmed by the chaos. Didn't hesitate. He moved through the crowd, treating the worst injuries first. A child with a broken arm, an elderly alien with respiratory failure, a parent bleeding from shrapnel wounds. The alien doctors finally found their courage and started to help. They watched as performed procedures that should have been too painful to do without sedation. But the refugees were so grateful to be alive that they accepted the pain. "How can you do this?" physician N asked. "You're hurting them." "I'm saving them," replied. "Sometimes saving someone hurts, that's just how it is." Back in the command center, they showed the 3 ships regrouping in the distance. They weren't leaving. They were watching, waiting. Captain of the sanctuary approached Daniel. The alien species had tentacles instead of arms, and its voice came through a translation device. "You saved us," I said. "We thought we were going to die." "You're safe now," Daniel assured him. "Are we?" I pointed at the. "They're still out there, and you saw how easy it was for one small ship to fight them. Imagine if they return with more." "They won't," Daniel said, trying to sound confident. "How do you know?" Daniel didn't answer, because he wasn't confident, he was terrified. El approached, his golden scales pale. The council is convening an emergency session. They want to discuss what just happened. What's there to discuss? Lisa asked. We saved lives. You engaged in violence, El said quietly. In 3,000 years, no one has fired weapons in council space, and now because of humans, ships have been destroyed, lives have been taken. They were pirates, Daniel protested. They were living beings. El's voice was sad. The council is divided, Captain Hayes. Half of them think you're heroes, the other half thinks you're monsters, and I don't know which half is right. In the medical bay, a child approached Victoria. The young alien looked up at the human security officer with wide, frightened eyes. Thank you, the child whispered. Victoria knelt down to the child's level. You're welcome. Are you really from a... Yes. Are dangerous? Victoria thought about how to answer. We can be, but we try to use that danger to protect the council chamber was chaos. 200 species argued at once, their voices rising in a symphony of fear and confusion. Some demanded the humans be expelled immediately. Others praised them as saviors, most simply didn't know what to think. Daniel stood in the center of it all, watching the galaxy's civilized races tear themselves apart over what to do with humanity. High Chancellor El finally brought his gavel down hard enough to crack the podium. Order, we will have order. The chamber slowly quieted. El's crest was fully raised, a sign of extreme stress in his species. Captain Hayes, the council has serious concerns about your actions. We saved lives, Daniel said firmly. You engaged in warfare, countered council member, a being that looked like a floating jellyfish. You destroyed ships, you killed living beings. Do you understand how serious that is? Do you understand that children would have died? Daniel shot back. That families would have been enslaved. I saw the reports on the raiders. They don't take prisoners for ransom. They take them for slave markets. That's not confirmed, protested. It's confirmed enough. Lisa stepped forward. We've been reviewing your records. Pirate attacks in council space have increased by 400% in the last decade. Ships disappear, colonies go silent, and you do nothing because you've forgotten how to fight. We negotiate, El said stiffly. We find peaceful solutions. How's that working out? Daniel pulled up a holographic display. 17 colonies lost in 5 years, 23,000 council citizens missing or dead, 41 ships destroyed or captured. Your peaceful solutions are getting people killed. The chamber erupted again. Some council members shouted in agreement. Others called for Daniel's arrest. Ambassador stood, all 4 arms raised for attention. I must speak. His voice was soft, but it carried. I was there when the sanctuary arrived. I saw the refugees. I saw children with eyes full of fear, parents who had watched raiders kill their neighbors. He turned to face the council. I was also frightened of the humans. When Captain Hayes ordered his people to fight, I saw them transform. It was like watching predators wake up. Their eyes changed. Their bodies moved differently. Everything soft about them vanished, replaced by something cold and efficient. Paused. I was terrified. But then I watched Lieutenant Turner risk his life to protect people he had never met. I watched Dr. Cross treat wounds that made our physicians sick to look at. I watched Security Chief Grant hold a crying child with hands that could crush metal. What are you saying? El asked. I'm saying they scare me, admitted. But maybe that's what we need, something scary enough to make the pirates think twice. You want to weaponize them? His voice rose in horror. Turn them into attack dogs. I want to survive, said quietly. And right now, the humans are the only ones offering protection. An ancient voice spoke from the upper tiers. The young ones have forgotten. Everyone turned. Elder Matriarcha descended from her seat. She was old beyond measure, her species' longest-lived member. Few in the council even remembered when she first joined. Forgotten what, Matriarch? El asked respectfully. The Guardians? A moved slowly, each step careful. Before the peace, before we modified ourselves into prey, there were species who protected the galaxy. Warriors who fought so others could live in safety. They died out ago, but I remember the stories my grandmother told me. She stopped in front of Daniel. Her eyes, clouded with age, still saw clearly. You remind me of them, built for war but choosing to defend. The galaxy has been soft for too long. We forgot that peace requires protectors. The Guardians were different, El protested. They were noble, evolved specifically to defend. Humans are just violent. The Guardians started as predators too, said. Every protector is a predator who chooses to aim their claws outward instead of inward. These humans have made that choice. Have they? Demanded. Or are they just looking for an excuse to fight? Daniel wanted to argue, but a new voice interrupted. Captain Hayes, we have a situation. Colonel Brooks entered the chamber. He was older than Daniel, gray hair and hands. Behind him came a squad of Marines in full combat armor. Sir, Daniel snapped to attention, I didn't know you were coming. Earth sent me when they heard about the attack. Looked around the chamber at the frightened aliens. Looks like I arrived just in time. What situation? Elle asked nervously. They are regrouping, pulled up a tactical display. Long-range sensors show at least 20 ships gathering 15 light towers away. They're planning a major attack. The chamber exploded into panic. Council members shouted, some running for the exits. 20 ships, his voice trembled. We can't fight that many, we should evacuate. No time, said flatly. They'll be here in 6 hours. Any ships that try to leave will be sitting ducks. Then what do we do? Elle asked desperately. Looked at Daniel. We fight. With what? Demanded. You have one damaged ship and a handful of soldiers that have a fleet. We have more than that, gestured, and his Marines moved aside. Behind them stood 20 more humans, all in military uniform. The moment Earth heard about the first attack, they dispatched support. We've got 3 more ships in system, heavily armed. They'll be here in 4 hours. 4 human ships against 20 vessels, someone calculated. Those are terrible odds. For them, maybe. Smile was not friendly. Daniel understood what wasn't saying. The Endeavor was designed for exploration with minimal weapons, but Earth had sent warships, real military vessels designed for combat. You want to start a war? Elle said. They started it when they attacked refugees, replied. We're just going to finish it. But at what cost? The Chancellor's voice broke. You'll turn this station into a battlefield. People will die. People are already dying, Lisa pointed out. Just slowly in raids across Council space. At least this way we make a stand. A moved between them. They are testing us. They think the Council is weak, unable to defend itself. If we run now, the attacks will never stop. Every pirate and raider in the galaxy will see us as easy prey. And if we fight? Elle asked. Then we show them that the galaxy has teeth again. The old matriarch looked at. Will you protect us, Colonel? That's why we're here, said. But we need the Council's permission to engage. Otherwise, we're starting a war on our own. The chamber fell silent. Every Council member looked at Elle. The Chancellor's golden scales had gone pale. His crest trembled. I don't know if this is right, he whispered. 3,000 years of peace, and I'm the one who ends it. You're not ending peace, Daniel said gently. You're defending it. There's a difference. Elle closed his eyes. When he opened them again, there was steel in his gaze. Very well. The Council grants permission for human forces to defend Harmony Prime. But Captain Hayes, Colonel Brooks, hear this clearly. You are protectors, not conquerors. You fight to defend, nothing more. Understood, both men said together. And when this is over, we will have a very long discussion about humanity's place in the Council. If we're still alive, said. Yes, Elle agreed, if we're still alive. The Council session ended. Aliens scattered to prepare for evacuation or to send final messages to their families. Daniel gathered the human personnel together. We've got 4 hours before our ships arrive, 6 before they get here, he said. Brief me on what we're working with. 3 destroyers and a light carrier, replied. The carrier has 2 squadrons of fighters, total of 50 Marines, 20 pilots, plus support crew. We're outnumbered, but we've got better training and better ships. What about the station? Victoria's already securing critical systems, preparing for mass casualties. The rest of our people are helping with the evacuation. Good, Daniel looked at his team. I know most of you signed up to be diplomats, not soldiers. If anyone wants to evacuate with the civilians, I won't blame you. No one moved. All right then, Daniel smiled grimly. Let's show the galaxy what can do. In the medical bay, worked frantically to prepare. En helped, though his hands still shook. Are you really going to fight them? The alien doctor asked. We don't have a choice. There's always a choice. Not when people need help. Set up another surgical station. That's the thing about being strong. You don't get to choose when to use that strength. You use it when others can't. Outside, in the darkness of space, sensors detected the approaching human fleet. 4 ships, not large but moving fast, weapons hot. And beyond them, farther out, the fleet gathered, 20 ships against 4. The human fleet arrived with 2 hours to spare. 3 destroyers and 1 carrier, their hulls marked with the symbols of Earth's united forces. Colonel Brooks watched them dock with the station, pride swelling in his chest. The carrier Defiant was his ship, smaller than the massive alien vessels that orbited distant worlds, but built for war. Every system was designed for combat, from the reinforced hull to the fighter bays that could launch aircraft in seconds. "How many civilians left on the station?" asked. "About 3,000, Victoria reported. The rest evacuated. Most council members left too. Only Elle and Matriarcha remained." "They stayed," Daniel was surprised. "Elle said a leader doesn't abandon his station, said he trusted us, and said she wanted to watch us fight." Victoria smiled slightly. "The old one has steel in her." The human forces gathered in the station's main hangar. 50 Marines, 20 pilots, support crews. Not many considering what they faced, but every one of them was trained, ready, and from a "Listen up," addressed the group. "In 1 hour, 20 ships will arrive. They're coming to make an example of this station to show the galaxy that the Council can't protect itself. Our job is to prove them wrong." He pulled up a tactical display. "The favor overwhelming firepower. They'll try to surround us, hit us from all sides. Standard raider tactics, but they're used to fighting prey species. They've never fought humans before." "What's the plan?" asked Lieutenant Commander Sarah, the tactical officer from the Defiant. "Simple, we don't give them time to surround us. We hit them hard and fast, take out their command ship first. Without leadership, raiders usually scatter," pointed at the display. "Sarah, you'll coordinate our fleet movements. Daniel, you handle station defense. Victoria, if any raiders make it through, you keep them away from the civilians." "And the fighters?" asked one of the pilots. "You're our speed and maneuverability. Hit and run, keep them off balance." Looked at each face. "Remember, we're not just fighting for ourselves. 3,000 civilians are counting on us. The Council is watching. The whole galaxy is about to see what happens when you threaten humanity's friends." Raised his hand. "What about casualties?" "Minimize them if possible, but if it comes down to us or them, choose us." His voice was hard. "I know that sounds cold, but these raiders chose their path. We didn't start this fight, but we're going to finish it." In the command center, Daniel stood with Elle. The Chancellor looked older than before, the weight of command heavy on his shoulders. "I never thought I would order beings to fight," Elle said quietly. "You didn't order it. You allowed us to defend ourselves." "Is there a difference?" Daniel didn't answer. Outside the viewports, space looked peaceful. Stars sparkled in the darkness, but sensors showed the approaching storm. "Incoming vessels detected," the station computer announced. 20 ships, configuration matches raider fleet. "Here they come," Daniel thought. The fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel in a coordinated formation. War Commander stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Reaver. Around him, 19 other ships took position. "Scan the station," he ordered. 4 human vessels docked, configuration unknown, energy signatures higher than expected. "Only 4, laughed. "They think they can stop us with 4 ships." "Sir, the database warns that humans are." "I know what they are, dangerous." His eyes gleamed. "Which makes them valuable. The slave markets will pay triple for creatures that strong." "Should we demand surrender?" "No, we take them by force. Show the galaxy that the fear no one." Settled into his command chair. "All ships attack formation, weapons hot, shields maximum. Let's end this quickly." The fleet moved forward. On the human side, alarms blared. His voice came across all channels. "All ships launch, fighters deploy. This is it, people. Show them what Earth is made of." The 4 human ships undocked in perfect synchronization. The Defiant, the destroyers Vengeance, Relentless, and Hammer. They formed a defensive wall between the station and the approaching raiders. From the Defiant's launch bays, 20 fighters screamed into space. Small, fast, deadly. They opened fire first. Energy weapons lit up the darkness, concentrated fire meant to overwhelm the human shields. The human ships took the hits and returned fire. Sarah sat in the Defiant's tactical center, her hands moving across the controls. All ships, pattern Delta, fighters engage their flanks. Let's break their formation. The human fleet moved with precision that shocked the. Instead of defending, they attacked. The three destroyers accelerated forward, weapons blazing. The carrier stayed back, launching fighter after fighter. "They're insane," tactical officer reported. "They're charging straight at us." "Then they'll die quickly," but felt the first touch of doubt. The human ships were taking damage that should have crippled them, but they kept coming. The Vengeance reached the line first. Its captain, a woman named Helen Carter, had been waiting for this moment her whole career. She'd trained for war, prepared for violence, and now finally had a chance to use those skills for something good. "All weapons fire," she ordered. The destroyer's broadside caught 3 ships at once. Their shields collapsed, hulls cracked open, 2 ships went dead in space. The third tried to retreat, but the Relentless was already there, finishing it off. 3 down, Sarah reported. 17 to go. The fighters hit next. 20 small ships moving at speeds that made the pilots dizzy. They wove between the larger vessels, firing precisely at weak points. Engines, weapons, shield generators. Lieutenant Jacob Turner led the fighter squadron. His damaged Endeavor was being repaired, so he'd taken a fighter instead. Smaller, faster, more maneuverable. He loved it. "Red Squadron, follow me. We're going for their carrier." "That's suicide," someone protested. "Only if we're slow." Turner dove toward the massive support ship. Behind him, 9 other fighters followed. The carrier's defensive guns opened fire. Energy bolts filled space. Turner's fighter twisted through them, avoiding shots that should have been impossible to dodge. His squadron followed his lead, trusting his instincts. They reached the carrier and unleashed everything they had. Missiles, energy weapons, even their emergency kinetic rounds. The carrier's shields flickered and died. The hull, designed to intimidate rather than withstand, crumpled under the assault. "Carrier destroyed," Turner reported, moving to next target. On the Reaver watched his fleet fall apart. How was this possible? They had numbers, they had experience, they were raiders feared across the galaxy. But the humans fought like nothing he'd ever seen. They took damage that should have killed them and kept fighting. They moved in ways that physics. They coordinated with precision that spoke of countless battles. "Sir, we've lost 8 ships," his tactical officer reported. 12 remaining. "Pull back, reform the line." But the humans didn't give them time. The Hammer and Relentless pressed the attack, driving deep into the formation. Behind them, fighters hunted stragglers. Sarah watched the battle unfold on her displays. There were good fighters, but they were used to prey. They expected their enemies to run, to hide, to beg for mercy. The humans did none of those things. "We've got them on the run," she reported. "Don't let up, push until they break." The Defiant moved forward, its heavier weapons firing in controlled bursts. Each shot was placed perfectly, targeting command centers and weapon systems. Sarah had studied the ship designs, learned their weaknesses. She exploited every one. 10 ships left, 9, 8. The battle became a slaughter. They tried to retreat, but the human fighters were faster. They tried to fight, but the destroyers were tougher. They tried to coordinate, but their command ship was already burning. Finally understood. These weren't just, they were protectors, and there was nothing more dangerous than predators defending something they cared about. "All ships retreat," he ordered. "Full speed, get us out of here." "Sir, we can't abandon." Now screamed, "Before they kill us all." The remaining 5 ships turned and fled. The fighters pursued, but's voice cut across the channels. "Let them go, they've learned their lesson." The human fleet regrouped near Harmony Prime, damaged but victorious. Not a single human ship was destroyed, though all of them bore scars from the battle. On the station, the remaining 3,000 civilians watched in silence. They had seen the battle, seen 4 ships defeat 20, seen warriors from Earth fight with a skill and fury that imagination. Elle stood in the command center, staring at the tactical display. The fleet was gone, the station was safe, and humanity had just rewritten the rules of galactic warfare. "They won," he whispered. "Did you doubt them?" Matriarcha asked. "Yes, but I was wrong." Elle turned to Daniel. "Captain Hayes, on behalf of the Council, I thank you. You saved us all." "We did what we had to do," Daniel said simply. "No, you did what we couldn't." El's crest rose fully. For 3,000 years, we've lived in peace because we removed our capacity for violence. We thought that made us civilized. But today, I learned that civilization isn't about avoiding conflict. It's about choosing who you fight for. Approached slowly. His forearms trembled, but not from fear, from emotion. "You terrify me," he said to Daniel. "Everything about your species is built for destruction, but you aimed that destruction at those who would harm the innocent. You're exactly what Matriarcha said, the Guardians reborn." "We're just people," Daniel protested. "No," A's ancient voice was firm. "You're forged in fire, tested by hardship, shaped by a planet that tried to kill you every day. But instead of becoming monsters, you became protectors. That's rarer than you know." Joined them, removing his helmet. "Chancellor, we need to talk about what happens next." "I know," El straightened. "The Council will reconvene tomorrow. We will formally accept humanity as members. But more than that, we will offer you a position we haven't needed in. Guardians of Council space. Protectors of the peace." "You want us to be your military," said. "I want you to do what you did today, stand between the innocent and those who would harm them." El looked at where damaged human ships floated. "We can't fight. We bred that ability out of ourselves, but you can, and you will because that's what do." Daniel thought about it. A few days ago, they'd come here as diplomats. Now they were being offered the role of guardians to 200 species. "We accept," he said, "but on one condition: we don't fight for conquest. We fight to protect, nothing more." "That's all we ask." In the medical bay, treated the wounded. Most were raiders who had ejected from their ships before they exploded. He worked on them with the same care he showed the refugees. "Why help them?" In asked. "They attacked us." "Because that's what we do," said. "We fight when we have to, we heal when we can, that's the balance." The galaxy changed that day. Word spread quickly about the battle at Harmony Prime. 4 human ships defeating 20 raiders, who fought not for themselves but for others. Pirate attacks in Council space dropped by 90% within a month. No one wanted to face the humans, and for those few who still tried, human patrol ships were waiting. 6 months later, Daniel stood on Harmony Prime and watched human ships patrol the space lanes. Destroyers escorting cargo vessels, fighters patrolling the borders, Marines training Council security forces in basic defense. Lisa joined him at the viewport. "Did you ever think it would turn out like this?" "No, I thought we'd be diplomats." We're just armed diplomats." Daniel laughed. "The galaxy expected us to talk. Instead, we showed them what can do when they choose to protect rather than conquer." "Think it'll last?" "I hope so, but if not, we'll be ready." Behind them, El approached. The Chancellor had changed in the months since the battle, stronger, more confident. "Captain Hayes, we've received reports of raids near the outer colonies. 3 ships are missing." "We'll handle it," Daniel promised. "I know you will," El smiled. "That's why we asked you to stay. The galaxy needs guardians, and humanity, for all your frightening nature, has proven to be exactly that." As Daniel walked toward his ship, he thought about those words. Guardians, not conquerors, not monsters, protectors. The galaxy had expected diplomats, instead walked in, and the galaxy was safer for it. The end. The galaxy was about to discover what happened when predators fought to protect their prey. War was coming to Harmony Prime. People not hurt them. The child hugged her. Victoria held the small body carefully, aware of how fragile it was, how easy it would be to hurt something so delicate. This was what humans were, she realized. Dangerous and gentle at the same time, strong enough to fight but choosing to protect instead. On the ships continued to wait. Their commander was talking to someone, getting orders. When the communication ended, the ships didn't retreat. They moved forward, calling for reinforcements. The battle wasn't over, it was just beginning. "Incoming message," the station's computer announced. "Refugee ship Sanctuary requesting emergency assistance, under attack by raiders, requesting immediate aid." Daniel and Lisa ran toward the command center. Behind them, throughout Harmony Prime, the galaxy's civilized species froze in fear. The peaceful galaxy was about to discover what humans did when the innocent needed protection.